Now, I found a very interesting article for you here at the Prospect Hub, which I kind of missed. This is about the Mets pitching prospects and what's going on in the minor leagues. So before we get into this video, hit that subscribe button so you know what's going on in the Mets farm system and everything else here at the Prospect Hub. This is from SNY.TV. This is a very interesting article. Like I said, I missed it. Can't be everywhere. Very busy. How a shift in philosophy has helped Mets develop pitching pipeline they've always desired. Former and current Mets executives believe the team's pitching outlook looks bright. Well, that's good news because obviously you can't win without your own homegrown pitching. That's for sure. You can't win anything without pitching. Certainly not without your homegrown pitching. As recently as a year ago, the uncomfortable question that hung over the Mets organization was as obvious as Steve Cohen's spending spree on 4-year-old pitchers was a sign of desperation. The question is, why can't the Mets develop pitching? The farm system was brimming with blue-chip position prospects, player prospects, but the void in homegrown pitching for several years had left Cohen with little choice but to overspend on the likes of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, only to eventually pay them to get the hell out of here. Pound sand. Thus, the pitching question loomed as criticism of the organization, which their former scouting director, Mark Tremuta, says was a fair point. Absolutely fair, Tremuta said over the phone recently. I would take some blame for that. As a scouting director, you can't run from that. That's easier for Tremuta to admit now, not so much because he moved on last year to take a front office job with the Blue Jays, but because the tide has turned to turn the Mets due to the strength of their drafts the last 3 seasons. Even off his first less than impressive start on Friday night in Miami, Christian Skies emerged as a shining star for the organization, a 5th-round draft pick, who ascended more rapidly and with a higher ceiling than expected. It's a credit to the scouting department for targeting a college reliever they liked that early in the draft, and the player development side for incorporating vital changes to his repertoire and delivery. That both sides can take pride in. Scott's success is notable because of a lack of coordination between the departments played a significant role in the failure to develop homegrown pitching for a time, according to various people I spoke to in the organization. This article was written by John Heyman. He's always a little behind on things, John. More than momentarily, but suddenly the outlook appears brighter on the pitching front. There's a buzz about several other top pitching prospects, most notably Blake Tidwell, Brandon Sprout, who, by the way, on Sunday struck out 10 batters in Brooklyn. Tyler Stewart, Jonah Tong, and Nolan McLean, who are also sending and could be factors for the Mets in the next couple of years. In addition to AAA pitchers such as Jose Buta, Dom Hamill, and Mike Vasil. Vasil, by the way, is struggling really, really badly. Quote, there's a wave coming, said Tremuta, and then another wave that people aren't even aware of. I'm not there anymore, but I'm proud to see some of our work is coming to fruition. There's a really good group of scouts there, and you're going to see some really good results. 2 scouts from other organizations concurred that the perception of the Mets pitching is changing quickly. Quote, the difference for me is they have some high-ceiling guys that have begun to emerge, one scout said, and they've got more quality depth, which they haven't had for years. Apparently, the improvement isn't coincidental. It started with the scouting department's conscious decision to begin drafting college pitchers, bypassing high schools who may have projected as the better long-term prospects, in part because such immediacy was a better fit for what player development was doing. Tremuta sums it up succinctly. A few years ago, we realized something had to change. In fact, a lot has changed under Cohen's leadership to make the Mets a more cutting-edge organization. He has poured money into scouting and development, both in adding manpower and investing in technology, including the much-publicized pitching lab that new president of baseball operations Dave Stearns experienced success with as GM in Milwaukee and as an executive in Houston with the Astros as well. Perhaps most importantly, the changes have created more of an alliance between player development and scouting departments that apparently had operated without much communication or collaboration for several years. Cohen and Stearns have made some key hires toward that end, including former Houston Astros scouting director Chris Gross, to oversee amateur scouting, former Major League manager Andy Green as senior vice president of player development, and Eric Joggers as Director of Pitching Development. Another important figure is Andrew Christie, who was promoted to Director of Player Development a few years ago and has done much to facilitate a more productive relationship between departments, according to Mets people the writer speaks to. It's one of my favorite things to do, connect player development scouting, Christie told me recently. Our guys have been awesome about it, and that's made it fun for me to connect those folks. What does that matter? Christie, among others, hints that egos may have gotten in the way of what was best for the organization in terms of drafting and developing pitchers. Instead of being a battle for credit, we should all take credit, Christie said. Some of the divisions kind of clouded that in the past. Now our development process is better and our scouting process continues to improve. The result seems to be a more tangible connection between the types of pitchers being drafted and the improvement that player development is making with them, with Scott being the most visible example. Tramuto says the tipping point came from a conversation he had in 2021 with Vice President of Scouting Tommy Tanos, when both agreed it was time they changed their philosophy to be better aligned with player development. We shifted our strategy so that we were not going to project as much when it came to drafting pitching, said Tramuto. We had taken in a lot of high school pitching, and maybe we were projecting too much. So we started taking more college pitchers with now stuff. I don't want it to sound like an excuse because I look at it as a criticism myself, but maybe we weren't set up as well to develop high school kids. Taking college pitchers put us more in alignment with what player development was doing. Starting with the 21 draft, the Mets have drafted mostly college pitchers. The most famous was first-round pick Kumar Rocker. The season that backfired when the Mets decided not to sign him based on a medical exam. But in that same 21 draft, they selected Hamill, Scott, Basso, Nate Lavender. Another fast riser who was making a strong case for a spot in the bullpen as a lefty reliever before an elbow injury sidelined him for the 2024 season. In 22, the Mets targeted Tidwell as a second-round pick, in part because of one of their scouts, Nathan Beaster, made such a strong case to take him, according to Tramuto, despite an arm injury at the University of Tennessee that lowered his draft status. Then last year, the Mets took another high-ceiling college pitcher, Brandon Sprout, as their second-round pick out of the University of Florida. 1 year after taking him in the third round and failing to sign him. Sprout raised his profile publicly with a strong outing in the prospects game in spring training, and he was so dominant in Class A Brooklyn over 5 starts that the Mets promoted to Double-A, where he pitched 5 shutout innings in his first start there last week, and obviously on Sunday, he sure got 10 batters. The promotion of both Sprout and outfielder Ryan Cliff at the Double-A, along with even more recent promotions of Tidwell to Triple-A and McLean to Double-A, are another reflection of change. For years, the Mets have been conservative in promoting players, and while Scott is an obvious example of being more aggressive at the major league level, Christie says the minor league promotions are reflective of a new organizational philosophy. On the minor league side, we have made a conscious decision to be aggressive this year, Christie said. We want to push guys, challenge guys, so that they're pushing themselves at the point of the type of pressure they're going to face eventually in the major leagues. Guys are going to fall along the way, and we want to prepare them for that mindset. In addition to the better results the Mets seem to be getting from the draft, they're committed to finding more pitching via international signings as they've built a player academy in the Dominican Republic while also incorporating more use of analytics in that market. Christie cites the work of Steve Barningham, Director of International Scouting, saying he has leaned into the use of technology as well as scouting and assessing players. As it is, the Mets have had success signing pitchers out of Venezuela. Bo Buto, who has proven he can contribute to major league level, Juan Suarez, who currently has a 2.17 ERA in Double-A, and Ramon Gomez, a 22-year-old right-hander who was throwing 99 miles per hour in Class A Brooklyn last year before needing Tommy John surgery. The bottom line is, and the change in personnel seems to be paying off in conjunction with Cohen's commitment to improving all areas of the organization. As Christie said, I would love to say that I and others did this amazing sell job on Steve about the importance of scouting and player development, but he preaches it to us. He saw what was working with other teams, and he wants that for the Mets. With that in mind, Tramuto put a bow of sorts on the subject, making the point that the arrival of Stearns to work under Cohen after the comings and goings of a few GMs in recent years should prove vital for much-needed organizational stability. Quote, when you have as much turnover in the front office as there was a few years ago, said Shimura, you have multiple farm directors, multiple pitching coordinators, different types of organizational philosophies, and there should be a level of consistency that helps everybody. A year ago, with the various changes making an impact, Mets people were saying privately that good young pitching was in the pipeline, results soon to follow. Now suddenly there appears to be a lot more reason to believe them. Well, we're going to see. I mean, some of them are going to be here in the majors this year. The Mets continue to pitch so poorly and play so poorly and perform so poorly. These guys are going to be here, and a lot of them are going to be working hard to make the team next year, and are going to be competing for jobs in the next year or two. So this is very exciting. Although it's a real struggle right now with the team on the field, this is not. This is very exciting, and the Met. Obviously, as the article said, the Mets position players are ahead of the Mets pitching in terms of guys that are going to contribute here at the major league level. Well, thank you for watching this video. And of course, please hit the subscribe button for the Prospect Type, and I'll see you later.